First of all, she is a very successful journalist. You also worked a long time in Austria, right?
I lived in Austria 10 years. And because of the heart impulse, I came to Zurich. So we come from the same city now. And so I traveled with my boyfriend. He's behind. He was not introduced as
Oh, sorry!
He's also a hero of the day. He brought me here today. He's actually the one who can install all the GPS and all the possible things that you need.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, good.
But, yeah, and so, and I moved here about a year ago, and I'm making my way through in Zurich, but I also accidentally have a lot of contacts in Basel, so that's my second native city now. Yes.
So yeah, we're very happy to have you, and so we're very excited to hear what you have to tell us about Instagram.
Thank you very much for this invitation. So now I'm taking the word, I presume.
Yes.
If you want to know anything else about me, it all stands here. I don't want to just speak too much about that. We have more important things to do. I wanted to ask you, who already has Instagram accounts? Everybody, almost like. And who doesn't? You don't.
I'm anti-Instagram.
Okay. But would you like to have one? Eventually. Today we'll speak about the basics. But these basics are very essential for those who already have Instagram account and for those who don't have Instagram account but may be thinking about it but not sure. When I was introduced to this event, I was thinking which kind of subject should I choose, and I was thinking I'll choose the easiest but the most essential subject. Probably is how to get more followers. Because people who are on Instagram, they mostly do it because they want to get new business connections and to get more seen and to get more business done online. So it's very important to be to reach the public, and so followers are the most essential part. And also for influencers, it's very important to have followers. So followers are they're ruling Instagram. Today's subject is followers on Instagram. Sorry, I wrote it in German because I thought we were going to do it in German, but afterwards that will be in two languages. At the beginning, I just put some common facts about Instagram, why actually you have to be there. For those who are not there, there are some common facts which are important today, and maybe you will be persuaded and you will open your accounts after you see these facts, and after that we come to the followers. So, sometimes I'll be doing so don't be surprised, it's German is up there and English is down there. So, the most important figures for the last years, 2020, it fell out a little bit because we had different situation. But the studies from 2019, they show us that 6 in 10 online adults, the people who use internet at all, they have Instagram accounts, and 72% of teenagers in general, they are on Instagram, and 73% of those 72%, they actually find different brands and information about the companies through Instagram. And also, latest studies show that Instagram users spend 53 minutes online. I do more, I have about 3 hours, but it's because I work with that. But 3 hours is a little bit too much, so 1 hour it's fine. Instagram is currently the 5th most downloaded mobile app, which is also a very interesting fact. Also, there are around 25 million business profiles on Instagram, so actually people are really motivated to be online, and that brings a lot of results. Instagram's potential advertising reaches so much. Over 200 million users visit at least one business profile a day, so if you have a business profile, you can be sure you will be seen. Nearly 70% of shopping enthusiasts discover products on Instagram, and Instagram brought, in 2019, about 20 billion in advertising revenue dollars. So quite an impressive figures. And now we come to the tactics for gaining followers. As far as I know from my experience, I was doing different workshops and online events, and people are always asking similar questions. and they're also interested, how do I get followers? How do I grow? And what should I do? So, by the way, if you have any questions while I'm talking, because I'm using Instagram slang sometimes, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you can hold your hand and I will explain what I mean. Tactics for gaining followers. So it's like if you just started, for those who just don't have Instagram account, and you have 0 followers, how to do it quickly so that in a few months you're on top. What should you do? You can gain followers today through follows. It means that you just follow other people accounts randomly and hope that they will follow you back. That's one of the most productive ways, and it's very quick. So if you follow like 3,000 accounts, you can be sure that maybe 300, it's about 10%, will follow you back. But if you follow 3,000 accounts, that can be quite dangerous, that Instagram will block you. So it's connected with how often you do this and how active you are. And also if you follow too many accounts, then your feed, your timeline will be full with accounts we probably don't really need. So I would personally not advise to gain followers through follows, even though it's quick. Second possible way is gaining followers through engagement. It's like when you post something and then people come to your account and they give you like or a comment and do nothing else. And then you reply with the same thing. You give likes and comments in return. So you kind of get into online conversation and you get to know each other. Maybe then you swap some messages, and so it's how Instagram friendship occurs. That's also a very good way of gaining followers. It's also quick.
So I have a question
Yes.
for this. So when you put a comment, do you put a comment with a hashtag or not?
No,
No,
normally
okay,
not.
just, okay.
But some people who want to mark their friends or their company or themselves, if they do it on the profile of a big influencer, they sometimes mark themselves with ads, not with hashtag, but with ads. And they hope that people who read these comments will discover this particular profile and click on that. That's kind of a spamming because you advertise yourself in the comments, but no hashtag is needed. Yeah, it's quick, it's productive, but it's also dangerous. So if you like give 1,000 likes in return in one day, you can also be blocked by the platform. So you have to be really careful. It's normally like about 60 likes or 60 comments in 1 hour. It's what's allowed, and after that, it's getting dangerous. You're risking of being blocked.
What does that mean when you say you get blocked? How long are you blocked for?
It depends. They're really unpredictable. First of all, Facebook, well, Instagram belongs to Facebook today. And Facebook, they have some kind of a customer service which at least have real people behind and they answer you. If it's about Instagram, even if it's your big influencer, big account and you're blocked, you can say, I'm not okay with that. You can send the message, but you just send it to the void mostly and then never get reply from any person from the service. And that depends. It can be 1 day, it can be 3 days. If they don't like what you do, it can be 1 week, and after 3 consequent blocks, you can be blocked forever. So actually, I personally was blocked for 1 week, without explanation why. It's just like you maybe liked 10 persons, and then you went away, offline, then come back, you liked something, you press it once more, then said, we want to limit your actions because we don't like what you do. And then you have to guess. The best way is to just 24 hours of doing nothing, because otherwise, if you, within these 24 hours, normal, smallest block is 24 hours. If you do something within these 24 hours, and they don't like it for some reason, they can write, oh, now you're blocked until the end of the week. So I personally experienced that, and I'm like, why? I really didn't understand, what did I do? But these kind of things, you have to be dangerous. Even though at the beginning, when you just start your Instagram account and you want to grow, that these 2 ways are the most effective. So still really careful, possible but really careful. I would just say just minimize the number of the likes in the beginning. Also, the bigger account, the more you're allowed to do. If you just started, they will tolerate less than if you're really a big one. individual, and sometimes I really don't understand the terms of conditions, but we have to accept it if we want to play on their ground. So, through hashtags, I would say that's one of the most effective and fair and best ways of getting followers, because if you have the right hashtags, you can get up to 50% of exposure. I sometimes check mine or my students, the performance statistics, and you can see if the hashtags are good, then sometimes really like 30,000 persons saw your post and 15,000 from these 30 saw it via hashtags. So good hashtags, they rule the world. That's a separate good subject.
Is this something you can look up in your own account? How many
Yes.
people saw it?
Yes, if you have a business account or you have the creator account, not just like there are creators, business and normal accounts. So if you create or business account, there is a specific statistic, and when you click on each photo, you will see how many came through external links, through hashtags from your followers, and so on and so on. So you can get to that later, of course, but it's possible. And maybe actually I think about the questions. I think they will be coming from time to time. Should I reply them straight away or should I leave them to the end?
It's up to you. I mean, what would you like?
Because I saw another question there and
Yeah.
we wanted to ask something else.
No, it was about the performance measurements.
that's fine.
Yeah.
If there are small questions, we'll answer them straight away. If there are general questions, we can leave them to the end.
So I also have a question with the
Yes.
hashtags. So should we mix the hashtags or should we have like the similar hashtags?
In which way? Mix?
So just different hashtags that you like. So usually I have like a certain pattern which I use, and I would say, okay, so this post or this type of pattern, I would always use the same hashtags. Or should I mix them up?
If you, it's the best if you have them a little bit different. Maybe I would say define for you 30 or 40 hashtags which are really relevant to your niche. And then, depending on the photo, you can add up 15 to 20 different ones. Because I've actually noticed, and I read about it, that if you have all the time all the same, somehow algorithm of Instagram, which is also something we cannot understand with our head, even though people who wrote this algorithm, they don't understand it sometimes. This algorithm actually can decide that your posts are getting boring because you always use the same things. So mostly I would say 30 best hashtags which are relevant, and then every time looking at the picture and then taking 10 essential which you think are essential this time, and the next time are 30 extra. For example, if you look at this picture, talking about hashtags, this is a very big subject. I will explain maybe later in a personal conversation why, but I'm really a big fan of geographical hashtags. Because if you look for the clients which are around your area, I'm always taking Switzerland, Swiss, Schweiz, and then I take Zurich, and if it has something to do with Basel or Geneva, the big cities. So I would always use them. But then looking at this photo, I would go somehow according to this photo. I would take the watch, or maybe black watch. I would take the maybe as a hashtag as a change or hashtag design. I would take this is a smartphone, something like that, or a smartphone. I would say yellow, I would say black. So everything I see on this photo, which is relevant to this photo, I would add up to the essential hashtags which are applicable to my business. So it's always something basic and something which is on that particular photo. Because all the photos are different. It's all the time.
So how many hashtags do you do?
30. 30 are allowed and 30 you can do. Because
So you make a little text and you fill up your post with hashtags.
yeah, unfortunately I'm doing a really big text. That's why it takes me a lot of time, and on 2 languages, English and Russian, but it's possible also English and German, or maybe just English or maybe just German, it depends. But I put as much as I can into one post, and I take away the hashtags in the comments. I used to take it in the description, in the caption, but then I realized that if you take it in the comments, they are not visible. It's a good taste that the people who read your text, and only about 10% of the people really read the text, but 10 they do. When they read it, then they see 30 hashtags, and it's a little bit like dirty. It's like all is blue and So if you take it really in the comment section and nice, clean, tidy text underneath, that's fine. And
So you comment your own post with hashtags.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the best way to make it really clean.
You don't put it into the comments.
I put it in the comment section.
Okay, that's much better, yeah. Okay.
I take the traditional ones usually in the comment block, and is it okay if I integrate the picture related into the text?
You can split them if you want, of course.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
write the text and the hashtags in between.
It's
I've been
possible.
criticized a lot by my son for that.
It's what I'm saying, it's hard for people because just of the opticals. Did you understand what we're talking about? It's when you, for example, read this text and suddenly this word comments would have hash and it will be blue and it will be clickable, and if you just for some reason click it, then you go away from this page and then you go into comments photo collection on Instagram, and oh, I have to go back. So if the text is inactive and then all the hashtags are in the comments, that's of course easier, but it's possible to do the way you did it. It just makes the text a little bit more different, varied, and it brings a lot of different colors, of course, blue and black. So, but it depends on you. Everybody has their own style. It's not that it doesn't mean that if you do this, you'll never get success, you'll not get followers. There's really a lot of different tactics. It's really individual. Yeah, well, I've experienced hashtag is always the biggest subject. When we start talking about hashtags, it's about 1.5 hours of extra questions. So next time maybe I'll do the workshop on the hashtags, which is, some say hashtags don't work anymore. There is a mythos, and it's actually the most powerful tool right now which you can use. Because I'm always saying it's like singing in the shower. You can be the best tenor in the world, but you just singing in the shower, nobody will hear you. And if you open the window and to the world, do it so that the people can hear you. That's the hashtag. The hashtag is the window to the Instagram world. That's how other people who are not aware of yourself can find you. So I'm always a big fan of hashtags. They should be there. And if 30 are allowed, take 30, because they are allowed. And the gel tag in the beginning, under the photo, above the photo, which you can mark as a Zurich, Basel, or maybe this place, that's like a 31st hashtag, so also use it. Don't skip it, put some kind of location. I don't really remember the number, I think it's about 17%, so 23%, something like that, more engagement people get when they have gel tag. Because it's just a little hint and possibility for people to find you. One more. We go to another one. The fair way how to get followers. So just to create a very interesting content. Exclusive, interesting, and one-off.
Sorry, can I just ask a stupid question? When you said geotag, you mean like hashtag Basel, or you mean more specifically?
No, geotag, it can be, I can show you later because it's hard to explain on this screen, but when you post something, for example, that's your photo, to the left you put your text, and then underneath there are possibilities to mark people on the photo and also to add the gel tag. And you can add any location. It's an extra option which is normally underneath the text before you go live. So it can be different. You can put Basel as a very general one, and you can be found through Basel. If you find these locations, the question how often people actually check this location. If it's a location which is unknown and maybe, I'm not talking about this one, but maybe the other one. There are only 2 guests there in 10 years and no one is interested, they will not find you. So you will be most likely found from Basel, other than some small unfamous location. But even if you put small location, is better than nothing, because there's still a chance that 2 persons will see you. I would advise to do this. The most.
But are there really people spending time scrolling all these pictures down?
That's really
If I see the best hits and the latest, I mean, in my opinion, you see the 3 first ones and then you're tired of. And if you tag Basel and you have just like 2,000 or 3,000 followers, you maybe get lost on page 25.
I would say it comes maximum to 100. There are different studies that showing some people don't have. Some people spend 1 minute online and go 3 posts, and some spend 2 hours or 3 hours and go to 100, and then in the middle we get this 53 minutes online, and I would say 100 posts are doable. Some people really bored. For example, I'm not talking to somebody in this room, but when I go back to my native country, to Ukraine, for example, and I'm in the bus, and in the bus there are about 50 people, and if you look, about 90% of them, they're sitting online and they're on Instagram. In Ukraine, Instagram is amazingly powerful, and also in Russia. Maybe here is differently. Here also more people drive, there are more people sit in the bus. And they have nothing to do, they have 1 hour sitting in the bus, so they're scrolling. They will scroll more than 100. Yes. Yes.
It's a question about when you, within the hashtag, there's also a part that is a relevant post and not relevant, the not relevant ones. Can you explain a little bit how does it work exactly, how to get there to the relevant part, or is that through the likes, or you have to have a big account to be there?
To the relevant, you mean to the most famous and no, do you understand what was the question about? When you come, when you press on the hashtags, for example, dedication hashtag, and there will be a screen divided into two on the left, there will be a possibility, so this will be a list of most famous photos of dedication, this will be the latest photos of dedication. So the question was how to get on the photo side with the most relevant and most famous, and well, to be on the both really, but how to get on the left side. I've noticed that every person has their own most popular photos according to each hashtag. If I put this word and I go online, my most famous photos will be different from yours, because then this algorithm comes in play, and amazingly enough, I once made this experiment. I posted something and then I was in my own most favorite list on all 30 hashtags, and then I thought, my god, I made it in top 30 in the whole world in all 30 hashtags. But then I made a research, and I realized it's only because that's my photo. Other people will see it differently.
Okay.
It's actually the algorithm which shows you the different photos on different subjects.
Okay.
So it's really individual, and there is no one which is really in the top of the whole world. So there are variations. Algorithms are another subject to talk about. Through interesting content. I'm trying to, for the fifth time, to go to this point. Interesting content is, of course, a natural and normal way of getting attention, getting noticed, and gaining followers. If your content is one-off or very exclusive, very interesting, and very specific, you will get more interest. We can show this computer, for example, on this bottom left, in a very nice way, or we can do it dull, uninteresting, bad photo, and of course the person who will show this computer in a nice way will get more likes and clicks and followers than if I just make it like this very quickly without any filter, without any work. I'll just send it online without hashtags, without even thinking, without text. I will lose to the person who really takes time to make a beautiful photo, even just with a simple computer. Working on the content, that's the key to the success. A long one, but a fair one, and it brings a loyal audience. The audience will just stay, not just follow and follow, but this audience will stay forever. Unless you do something which make them really angry, which happens a lot with YouTube bloggers. That's also another subject. Through paid ads on Instagram, that's the way of getting followers. It's simple, you just pay for the ads, you get into the top positions on the location and for the group which you've chosen during the period you've chosen, and in the end, if your content was good and if your post was interesting enough, you get new audience, but you have to pay for that. Activity chats, this is this kind of chats or groups when people come together they create some kind of a closed society. It can be on WhatsApp, it can be on Instagram itself, on Facebook, and then they post like, I have a new post, so all the other members, they have to go and click on it and like it, and of course normally they all have to follow each other. That's the special requirement of entering the group. So there can be groups with like 1,000 people, but with 1,000 people it will be too hard to keep on tracking and liking and following everybody else. It brings some kind of exposure, and sometimes you really see at some people they have the comments from the same followers, from the same, and also the same comments on every post. So this kind of activity chat, you just copy paste the same comment, but there is some kind of illusion of activity. So that's a possibility, but it's really narrowed by the number of the members of the chat. And if you're there, you need to give a lot of time and dedication to what you do. So I would not really recommend that. And also Instagram doesn't like it. If it spawns similar comments, that's eventually you'll get problems and lower exposure. So we get to the next one. Through paid ads and bloggers profile, you also can get followers. That's easy and organic, but very expensive. If you have like a blogger who has 1 million followers, real proper one, who build up their audience through the other ways which I've already mentioned, you can pay this blogger, they will put you on their blog and say, follow this person, and so you get new audience. The bigger the blogger, the higher the costs, and also to use this way of growing, you have to really understand who is the big blogger and who is not the big blogger. Some people are fake influencers, some people are fake bloggers, and they can have millions of followers with like 20 likes, because it's also possible to buy followers. So it's really a thing which requires additional knowledge.
They have more likes than followers.
Exactly, they have more followers than likes. They have no likes, no comments, but they have a lot of followers. Especially widespread is in Russia and Ukraine, because in these countries it's big countries with a lot of potential users, and I was invited to this kind of this is action where you have to pay about 200 euros, and then the big blogger or celebrity will advertise you, and you have to actually there's like a giveaway. They give a present from this celebrity, and one of the conditions is to follow you. So you get some kind of many people who followed you. They didn't know why, because they want to get a present from the big celebrity. Half of it then unfollow you, half of them will stay, but they will never read what you write, because they're not interested in you. They're interested in this person and in the prize. So it has to be really a proper influencer and blogger. So
when are you an influencer? From how many? I mean, what is
your
your
it's really
definition?
relative. I was trying to find out. It's actually for me, for myself, I would say I'm not even an influencer at the moment. I have 38,000, but I'm put myself like 100,000 applying. So influencer, real influencer is something that really has to have thousands and thousands of likes and comments, and there are not many people who really you advertise there and you can be sure that you get a lot of exposure. And in Switzerland it's not that powerful as in Russia, for example, because there they have easily, I work with some of them, 2-3 million followers, and if they advertise me I get thousands in one day. But again, they just come because the other person advised me. It's hard to say. You have to see individual on every profile, how many people and what kind of people this person influences. I think we're still in the phase of building it up. I think in 5 years it will be easier. Well, the bloggers and influencers, they're today an alternative to newspapers and magazines and the TV. But still, that's still 50-50. But when bloggers will be more powerful than the TV, then probably we can speak about influencers easier. Right now it still develops. So So there is no answer to this question, not from me, not from anybody. There is no definition. In the vocabulary, they would say influence is somebody who influences the big masses. But what are the big masses? That's also very questionable.
Yeah, and who? All the big masses.
Also, it's relative again within the land. If here we have so many millions, and then in the other country you have maybe 50 millions or 100 millions, that's also different. Are you a land influencer? How many percent of the people? So that's a question of similar topic. But study should be done, and I'm not the one who can really define influencer in terms of today's Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I say from 100,000 for sure, but again, look at the engagement. Engagement is really important. Through giveaways, that's what I've mentioned before about people paying big celebrities who post giveaways, and then you one of the sponsor of this giveaway, and so people who take part, they have to follow you. Or another giveaway option, you can do it together with a brand, and then you can put as a requirement, people have to follow this brand, people have to follow you, and then it's a possibility to win something good. So these giveaways, they bring followers, but to actually make giveaway visible, you have to bring a lot of marketing and promotion, and it doesn't guarantee any results, so it's quite a lot of work as well. Through cross-promotion on other social networks, as if Facebook, LinkedIn, and other platforms, YouTube, that's quite time-consuming and not very effective, because users don't use different social accounts in the same amount of time. If it's a user of Instagram, they will not likely spend a lot of time on Facebook, and vice versa. So if you try to attract some people from Facebook to your Instagram account, it will be just like maybe 5% of the possible audience from the whole friends list and so on. So these different platforms, they don't always cross. We come to the last page. Through third-party apps, it's possible to get followers. It's unsure and risky. It's when you just pay somebody to do something for you, and you entitle them to make actions in your account. It's like mass following, mass liking. So I'm not a fan of through third-party apps, and I would not recommend this way. Through printed ads and souvenir products, you can just make some flyers and put them everywhere. There will be your Instagram account, so people who saw the flyer, like a magazine which I have in hand, one of the magazines, you can put the advert in that magazine and there will be your Instagram account. But we cannot predict the effectiveness, but it's one of the ways. Requires also investment, because you have to print the ad and you have to pay for the ad. And the last one, but not the least, is the help of an Instagram marketing profit. When you don't want to take time for that, you just hire somebody, and then they create everything for you. So it's very effective if the person really knows how to do it. Example, one of the girls I know, she's now influencer. I use this word even though it's hard to define, in Lausanne, and when we got to know each other, she was at 10,000 followers last October, now she has 75,000. And she said to me she hired Instagram marketing profit in Moscow, but she paid 500 euros a month to this person, plus all the activities, all the ads, all the marathons. She was taking quite a part in a lot of marathons. That's kind of and it's a complicated thing, but it's many different Instagrammers, they come together and they just have to follow each other. So I would say maybe her budget was about 1,000 a month, and then you have to think of really what you're trying to achieve. If you put 1,000 a month, what exactly is your output and what you can expect if you want to earn with that? How much can you earn really? So again, look at the kind of a market, and also it can be people that promise you, we will now promote you to a highest of the high, and then you pay the money and then, oh, sorry, it didn't work. So really you have to make sure that this person can do this, that this person actually has a portfolio, the feedbacks, the clients, the students, maybe satisfy people, and in the end understand if these costs are proper for you and if you're okay with this person. But for sure, that's a very effective way of gaining more followers. With this, I will say thank you very much. These are mostly all ways of getting followers, most important ones, and I will gladly answer some more questions if you have any. Even so abstract. No, yes.
I was following your account lately, and one of the last posts I saw you there with a tablet, I guess, and I think some wording on it,
Yes.
and you were asking a question, and I just realized, and it's not the first time I realized that when I see, especially when I see female influencers, and you're asking a professional question, and then in the comments I see hundreds of guys going, beautiful legs, you're so attractive, and so on. And I mean, that's
Well, that's what they write to me as well.
you see, that's what I wanted to ask. No, and of course, those are very kind and truthful compliments. But I realized that you're answering to almost all of them.
I always
That's
want to-
just incredible.
one day long.
So do you accept that non-professional interaction because you say it's still growing my business in the end? Or
It's a rule that first 60 minutes I stay online and see everything that's happening. One day long I reply to every comment because people took time, because it's respectful, even if it's not professional, but they took time. If they didn't write some bad, I also lose some of the comments which I don't like. But if they write me that beautiful, they didn't say anything bad. So at least I'm saying thank you. That would be strange if I lose their comment because they didn't say anything wrong. But at the same time, I'm really interested in those in between because there are some other. I made a marketing study on my last page because I had to make actually the advertisement for my partners, which hosted me this informational portal. Now they have that's a news portal. So I had to integrate them into the advertisement without really making it so openly understandable. So I'm standing there with a tablet and that's their logo. And I was asking, what do you see? And I'm standing in the dress, so I was asking the followers, what do you see? And even these answers with beautiful and good, that were also interesting for me because I wanted to really know for my studies how many people really look at something else other than physical. Yes. And there were about 20% of them who answered, who looked at something and they made an analysis. I was really happy. And I will put it for the next.
That makes us hope for society.
It could be also that sometimes I cut them, then they write about arms or something else. But it's just a question how many of them really read it, how many of them really react, and how many of them are making professional comments. And I was happy about 20% of professional comments, so it was fine. And I think that all the followers, they should be treated with respect. Because these are your followers. If they see that, please say thank you. So I'm fine with that.
thank you.
Anything professional which you would like to do in terms of growing? If not, I will give everybody my cards because I'm helping to grow Instagram accounts and also do coaching. I was thinking one of my students was going to come today, but she's not sure. I'm doing another event in Zurich in 2 days and she's going to go there, so she didn't make it. But yeah, as I even had some students from Basel and I'm happy with the way it develops and I think that we're on the right way and I think that I'm happy also to meet so many people today, so interested on if you really want to know more then you can contact me directly and we'll speak about this in a private way on Instagram, on WhatsApp, and I answer a question. Maybe you want me to help with your account. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.